What up, what up? We're coming in hot as camp content, and I am coming fresh off the tennis courts, giving lessons to all the children out there. Actually, they were schooling me. But we are excited about today's episode, aren't we, guys?
Hell yeah. Yeah, we are.
As long as it's not tennis.
Oh,
the
well,
most
yeah.
boring episode ever.
Actually,
tennis tournament going on recently? No.
Yeah, the Australian Open. I just got in tennis because I watched that Netflix show that just came out.
Oh, really? I thought about
It's called
watching
like Point Break. It's like a behind the scenes thing about tennis, and it's actually pretty sick.
Nice.
I highly enjoyed it.
Incredible
Okay, good to
athletes. Boring as hell.
Good to know.
Yeah. And the matches are like 4 hours long. I'm not doing
God,
that.
5 hours? How do you do that?
That's some rich people shit right there. Only they have that much time to sit around watching. Now we're going to have to put explicit warnings on this podcast. Thanks, Matt. All right. So speaking of this podcast, we are coming in hot today with the top 5 things that you need to know to leverage podcast guesting for your life, your business, for just everything in general. So I think we should start with number 1. Who wants to start it off? Don't y'all
be
want
prepared.
Be prepared. Speaking of
be prepared.
Yeah, we can go through everything because I see it firsthand mostly.
Oh,
And a lot of it's like,
the obvious
how's the
part
audio?
of
How's the lighting? Right now, mine poor. So what do you do?
Look at
Bring
you.
a blind down. And now I don't have a big glare on the side of my face. As much of a glare, but
it's more
factoid number 1 to remember. We can't edit in light or we can't edit out light. So you have to be well lit.
Yes.
Your podcast host is not going to be able to blur your background or make your house less cluttered. So
this isn't Pixar, people. Let's keep our expectations realistic. But mostly,
so we can start there. Yeah.
But mostly, what we're really saying
is important.
Lighting is important, but really, like, we'll get into the technical difficulties in number 2, right?
Yeah.
But number 1, being prepared for me, being prepared means do some research, right? Listen to the podcast that you're going on. Connect with the host in advance. Do a 15-minute call with them. Man, it's like you wouldn't just go on a date with you wouldn't match with somebody on Tinder and Bumble and not communicate at all and just meet at a bar. You would at least text a little bit. You would have some phone calls. You would warm things up a little bit. You want to do the same thing. You don't want to be meeting the podcast host for the first time on the show because you're going to waste a bunch of time getting to know each other when you could have done that in advance and jumped right into some juicy bits, right?
You don't want that awkward how you doing conversation to be the first 10 minutes of the episode.
We even have some clients, and one was really good at it. They would book, say, the recording from 1 to 2 p.m., and they would get into that Riverside link at 12:30, and they would do a 30-minute dry run of it. And then I would hop in like 5 minutes before the recording started, and they were just in there chopping it up, and it's just like, all right, this is going to be good then.
And it makes such a difference, right? Like one of the biggest inspirations behind Heartcast Media, like when I first formed it, was watching Tom Bilyeu of Impact Theory. And he is one of the best interviewers of all time. And he does a weekly show. And every week he reads every book that his guest has written. He reads every article. He listens to every podcast. Anything that guest has done, he is going to check it out and watch it and listen to it. And then he asks those people questions that nobody else is asking. And every single time they go, man, Tom, wow. Everybody says it. And the intro, he does this spectacular intro of people. Hey, this is Molly Rowland. She was born here and did this and did that. But most people know her for this. But what she's really, and blows people's minds with the amount of information. So when they sit down, right? So you hope that your podcast your host, that's having you on their show is going to be as thorough. Most likely they will not, but that doesn't mean that you can't be that thorough and know about that host and ask appropriate questions, back to that host to really guide the conversation. The other thing is this. A good journalist always knows how to lead the conversation. And so you should prepare 10 questions in advance that you want to be asked, right? And Anthony can speak on this probably better than I.
Yeah, one of the most important things you need to do to prepare for your appearance on other people's podcasts is to know what you're going to talk about so you can kind of direct the conversation so it's most effective for you. We like you to prepare 10 questions that you're always prepared to answer. Give them a bunch of topics that you're always prepared to talk about. It gives them an idea of where you want to go with the conversation and the story you want to tell, right? Because if we can tell a story as we go along in the conversation, it's just more engaging and more likely people are going to, get some benefit out out of it and really understand where you're going with it. And as Molly can attest to, she's been on a number of podcasts where they tried to take the conversation maybe in different directions, which is not a bad thing because it's the host's show and you never know where they want to go. A lot of the hosts want to tell your story, tell us where you were born and grew up, and maybe that's going to lead into your first couple of jobs, which are not really relevant to what you're trying to sell and may even work against it, because if I'm tuning in with my short attention span and I'm now going to have to listen to 5 minutes about something that has no relevance to the information I want to get to, I'm likely to check the hell out of there. So preparing your host is your responsibility. Showing up prepared is your responsibility. And then understanding when the host may be drifting a little, which is fine. Let them drift. Allow them to, feel like they're in control of the conversation, but always be able to rein them back into what you want to talk about without being snippy about it. Don't be like, I'm not talking about my first job. Give a little, oh yeah, I worked that job. And you know what I learned in that job that's effective to my thing I'm trying to sell now is this. And then you just kind of go on where you want to go on.
Just keep taking it down that path in a good way.
You're the one who has to kind of keep bringing it back.
Like a good journalist, like Terry Schultz, man. Like I've never seen anybody control a conversation the way she does, man. Absolute
I miss
machine.
working with her.
I know.
She was legit.
She was awesome.
She was legit.
Super legit. Shout out to Terry Schultz, wherever you're at. Number two, this is
Belgium.
Belgium, yeah. So number two, this is the biggest one ever, right? Number two, buy a microphone. Buy a microphone.
Perhaps
I just had a
Shure
client buy the Shure MB7. As a matter of fact, we'll make sure the link is in the show notes. But we don't get any cut of that, so don't get your hopes up.
It's just that awesome.
It's just that awesome. Yeah. And you know what? We even had a client last week say that because they've been using their podcast microphone, and we always tell clients, use it on all calls. Don't just use it on podcasts. Stop acting like it's a big deal. It's not a big deal. Put it on a boom arm, put it in front of your face, slide it away, right? She said unequivocally that her sales calls have improved because she's using the microphone all the time. So if you need more reason to buy a microphone 3 years into the pandemic, you heathens, if not sounding like you live in a trash can isn't enough motivation, if not coming into an interview, especially you want to go on good podcasts, those people are spending a lot of money on their production. They have really good microphones. They're in studios, and you come in on your laptop microphone and you bring down the quality of their production that they're paying for, number one, and you're going to sound like a rookie. You're going to sound like you didn't prepare yourself, because when you're listening to a podcast on an audio first platform, and this is what I don't think people remember. Everybody's gotten so used to videos being on LinkedIn and YouTube and stuff where it's like, it's not as important. But when you're on an audio first platform like iTunes or Spotify and you're wearing earbuds and somebody comes in, hey, welcome to the camp content. We are serving up excellent. And somebody else is like, oh, my name is Molly. Right? Like, no, that is not a good look for you or your business whatsoever. And so buy a microphone. It'll make people want to listen to you more. It'll make you sound smarter. It'll help you close more deals, and it'll get you booked on better podcasts. If there was anything you want to, don't go join another mastermind or buy another course or hire another coach before you go buy a microphone, because literally that is 90% of all of this is sounding good and being prepared.
And if you're going on another podcast and that podcast host is a dummy and doesn't have a good microphone, and you're going on their podcast and outperforming them with your quality, even better. Better.
And it's like you say no, I'm sorry, again.
No, go ahead.
No, it's like they say in a lot of businesses, right? It's not that hard to be better than average, because so many people think they want to do something, but they're not really putting in the effort. They're not doing the research, and simply showing up prepared with a good microphone, a set of headphones, good Wi-Fi connection, good lighting. Boom. You're way better than average already. And you did the bare minimum. And now you're going to get booked on more podcasts. Even if people aren't even listening to what you're saying, they can see. He's prepared. She's prepared. A microphone, got a headphone. They're ready to go, and it just makes a humongous difference. And before even getting into the horror stories about where we've seen people show up, for various interviews,
go in a room where you're not gonna get bothered. Like it's a room. You live in a house or an apartment. Go in a room, not a closet. I've had people in closets with their clothes dripped over their head because they think that's gonna be a sound barrier. It's not how that works.
No,
right? I mean, your laptop doesn't work. Your phone doesn't work. Sitting in a dentist chair, getting your teeth fixed during a recording doesn't work. And telling us to hang on for 5 minutes while it finishes, which is insane to me.
That actually
don't be
happens.
Outside. Don't be at the dentist.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Don't be at the
one
dentist.
where the lady was on her back deck. She was on her back deck. And she's like, my Wi-Fi's not working great. I was like, probably because you're 20 yards from the house. Out in the woods. What do you expect?
Wind blowing.
Yeah.
So,
like, is your router in the shed?
Yeah, what's
is
going
that
on?
why you're out here?
The new outhouse wireless routers. You're not familiar with those? Oh!
Whoa.
The crowd loves you,
All the
Matt.
kids. Yeah,
The
I know.
crowd loves
Unbelievable.
you. It's comedy night.
But it's common sense.
It is.
That's what it boils down to all the time.
Common sense ain't common though, right? And my mom always said, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. And because you can get a second chance to confirm a bad first impression. You can lock that jammy all the way in, but you don't get a second chance to make a good first impression. And I think that's the difference.
That's why
right
that
there.
first 15-minute call we talked about at the beginning is also so important, because you get to see what they're about, what you're about, talk about how the flow of the show is going to go, and hopefully they're going to tell you, hey, don't be outside or whatever, and just really, be a professional, show up early, and show up prepared. It's the bare minimum.
All right, coming in hot. Number three, that is leverage your appearances with short form video. What does that mean? It means take the video content that you have from being on somebody else's podcast and chop it up into smaller videos that you can put on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn, Facebook Stories, wherever you want. But the whole point of the short form video is to reach bigger audiences with smaller content, because that's what's trending right now from a completion rate standpoint. And so if you can take this long interview, find the bits that are really good, chop them up into smaller videos, put them on social, and tag all those people. So instead of just saying one time, hey, thanks, Molly, Matt, and Anthony for having me on Camp Content, now you could have 6 little videos and 6 opportunities to tag Heartcast Media, to tag me, to tag Anthony, to tag Matt on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. It creates all this social proof. It creates all this connectivity. It creates a ton of leverage for you with that relationship, with that podcast, by putting it out on other networks. And so it is absolutely a cheat code to taking. It's like gremlins. You put water on them and they expand. Well, that's what short form content does to long form content. It takes this, conversation that's not going to be all gems, right? Unless you're Terry Schultz, we got to tag her in this. Unless you're Terry Schultz, you're not going to have a podcast full of gems. So you're going to have to go through there and find the ones that really represent what you're trying to sell, what you're trying to say, what you're trying to represent, and make sure that you're putting that on your podcast. And if you go on a really big podcast, and make 17 of those videos, right? But make them 15 seconds, 20 seconds, not 45, not a minute long, not super long, because people just aren't watching those. So short form videos is another ultimate hack. So,
and it goes into episode 1 of Camp Content to learn more about YouTube Shorts and what they do.
Bang, bang.
Right? It goes into being prepared as well, though, right? Because if you're going to show up with the questions you want to answer and the things you want to talk about, you're creating that social media content intentionally. You want to talk about this. That'll make a great video. That'll make a great video. And then all of this content, you did the work, you spent the money, and you spent the time already. Why not leverage it? That's why we like the word leverage. You're not repurposing it. It's not like it's this old thing that what else can I do with it before I throw it away? It has value. Now you can apply it how it's best applied to the various social media channels. On LinkedIn, you got to network with people, right? On TikTok, you're posting the video and hoping people stare at it for 6 hours. But whatever it is, do it. You already spent the time and the money, and we felt like people are leaving a lot on the table by not taking those videos. And you need new content every day. Everybody needs they know they need new content. Why not create it intentionally?
And it's so hard to be consistent. So if you can go on 2 podcasts in a month and then make 6 videos from each, now you have 12 videos. There's only 20 business days. So you've damn near got a month's worth of content if you do it right, giving people little bits at a time. So yeah, short form video, leverage. All right. Number 4, this is another big leveraging tip. Matt, who wants to take this one? Don't fight.
The built-in audiences?
Networking.
Number 4, leveraging the built-in audiences. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So listen, people come to us all the time and they know that they want to have a podcast because they understand that it can be very valuable. But sometimes we say to people, we don't think you should have a podcast. We actually think you should go on other people's podcasts. Why? Because if you need audiences now, if you need visibility now, then going on other people's podcasts and leveraging their built-in, already existing audience is also a cheat code to doing that, because you can build an audience with a podcast, but it is a long haul, my friends. It is a long haul.
It is, because if you're relying on starting a brand new, because you're like, I want to hit this target audience, I'm going to start a podcast. You know how long it's going to take you to build an audience? To even start your podcast, it takes people months at times to even get it off and running and the pilot published and everything. It's like you go on this guy's show who's averaging, let's just say 300 downloads an episode. There's an audience.
That's an audience.
Your target audience. Boom.
Less is more.
Everybody's listening to you.
Never underestimate a couple. This value of a small audience, man, because that's what's
just picking and pulling. Yeah.
Easiest way to get into other people's networks. But then we find that also people stop short. Okay, you're in the network now, but you're not engaging with them. You're not commenting with them. The comments have so much value on these social media sites. You should be tagging every single person that was involved in the podcast and is in the sphere of the podcast, and then actually engage with them. You got to respond to every single comment. If somebody likes your appearance and you respond to it, you have a follower for that show forever. The comments are so engaging. You have the ability to get into these networks. You have to know when the episode's coming out. Promote your podcast appearance before it's out, after it's out. Tag everybody, engage with the networks. That's where the value is. Okay, you went on the show. The show got you in front of these people. Great. Now what are you going to do with it? There's more action required, and it's up to you. If you're building a brand or creating a sales funnel, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You still have to engage with the social media posts. LinkedIn is obviously going to be best for that for most businesses, and that's the best way to comment and really kind of, hey, follow me and I'll follow you and all that kind of stuff. But all the social media sites obviously have that value. YouTube channel with the tags, and just doing everything you can to possibly make it work, because you never know where you're going to get the most benefit from it, right? We've had clients that you would think LinkedIn would be most effective and they've had success on TikTok. And then we've had clients where you think that maybe Instagram Reels and TikTok would be most effective and they're networking with hundreds of people on LinkedIn. So until you have data that says it doesn't work, you need to be everywhere.
Yeah, and we go in and check all of our clients, like YouTube's and everything, and look at the comments. Like we were doing that for one of our clients the other week, and that episode had 20,000 views on it. It's like if you go on there and you're a guest on a podcast and you see a bunch of people commenting about you in a good way or a bad way, doesn't matter. Use that to your advantage. It had 20,000 views.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
And then,
and one YouTube episode.
And then this kind of ties into the number 1, be prepared, of course, but also like your CTAs, right? And we see this a lot where people don't have a CTA at all. No CTA at all, or they have too many.
You want to tell some people what that even means?
Right. Okay, you're right. So CTA means call to action. So what is at the bottom of all that text? What is the whole point in this podcast, right? For us, we want you to book a discovery call. You want to hang out with us? You want us to produce your content? Book a discovery call, man. That's really what we want. That's, we want to hang out with you. We want to work with you, right? Really simple. So a lot of people don't have a CTA at all, or they have too many CTAs. They have links to their Instagram, their TikTok, their LinkedIn, their website. Join this, join that. Here's this upcoming forum. Here's this. Dude, that's too many things.
Your link tree's lazy, right?
Right. That's too, even Linktree, people are saying that, and I love me some Linktree, but even they're saying sometimes there's too many options on there and people don't do anything. And I think that's relevant. So if you have a podcast and you're a nonprofit and you're trying to raise money, then you should have a donate to our cause here. And that should be the only thing, because quite frankly, if they want to talk to you, they can go to your website and they can find you. What do you really want? You want a donation. What do you really want? Sign this petition. What do you really want? Book a discovery call. I don't want you to buy my book, visit my website, and go to all my social media. That doesn't really do anything for me. I want to continue the conversation with you in a very specific way. And so being very clear about what your CTA is really important. And don't put 17,000 links on your on your outro. And when you're on a podcast, and they always say, tell people how they can find you. One thing.
One thing. I think people get confused because there's kind of two kinds of podcasts. If you have an entertainment style podcast, the goal of that podcast is to simply grow an audience. Those are the people who are saying, smash that subscriber button and follow me on this and follow me on that, because that's literally the goal. That's the CTA of that content. But if you have something to sell or you want to get a discovery call, right, that it's a different goal. And I think a lot of people see the super popular podcasters with the smash the subscribe button and they think, hey, that's a good idea. I do want followers too, but you're going to get your followers kind of the other way by directing them to your website, the link to buy something, the discovery, more information about your product. They know you have social media, like they're going to find it.
Exactly. I mean, what's the first thing? And if you've done what we suggested, you've already gone onto their social media and you've already commented.
Right.
And everybody knows, right? Like the whole, like, you don't even have to ask, like, follow my page. Like, if I open my Instagram and somebody's commented, I'm going to immediately read the comment, heart it, then open up their page. And if they're not Looney Tunes, I'm going to follow them back. So you don't need to tell me to do that. All you got to do is engage with me a little bit. And we're all that way. I manage large social media accounts. I see every comment that comes through. So of course, somebody else is going to as well. So if you've already engaged, then they already have your social media. They've already seen you engaging. That's their favorite podcast, and they see you've already commented on things. You don't need to give them their Instagram. I mean, the easiest thing we can all do is find each other's Instagram. You don't really even need to tell each other that, right? LinkedIn might be a little harder, but not really. Yeah. You know,
more times than not, if you are a guest on a show and they post that stuff about you, and you comment on it a few times, they're probably going to pin your comment to the top. Like in Instagram, how you can pin, in various platforms, you can pin a comment to the top, YouTube and everything. Go write something intelligent.
Right.
And comment on the show and how great the host is, even. Like
anything.
Pump their tires a little.
Thanks for having me, right? Like, I mean, just the simplest thing. Oh, I really appreciate this conversation. Just anything. You know what I mean? Anything.
Interview. Everybody should go on this show. Be a promoter for their show, and they're going to promote your appearance on the show. Yeah. It's a give and take. We see so many people go on shows, they never think about it again. They never promote their upcoming appearance, and there's so much of that left on the table, and it's all about engagement. Right. So like any opportunity, you really have to take advantage of it.
Yeah,
I agree. So, and we're running a little late here, so we're going to roll right into number 5, people. And this one is really, really important. Understand the timeline. Shit takes a while, man. That. If you want to get booked on podcasts now, you're late. You should have started in November, frankly. So if you want to market yourself going on podcasts in Q2, you need to start in Q1. You want to do it Q3, you need to start in Q2. If you want to promote your book that's coming out next week, tough shit. Ain't going to work because nobody's booking in a week. Nobody's booking within the month. And if they do record you within the month, it's probably still not going to be edited and produced and released for another 3 months after that. So this idea that something's going to happen fast is not realistic. So if this is something you want to do, right, which we really suggest you do a 3-month sprint, because you can't go on podcasts in perpetuity forever, right? You don't want to do it for an entire year. You're going to start going on stuff that doesn't even make sense. You're going to be checking boxes. You're going to lose your steam and be talking to the wrong audiences, right? That's not the look. You want to do 3 months targeted with a specific person, your 10 questions, your specific goal, your specific CTA. Do it for 3 months. Blow it all the way up and then look at the data and see what's what, see what's what, but understand that it's not going to happen fast. And so if you're looking to do this, you need to start now. You need to start now.
It's be prepared. You got a book coming out in the summer. You got to start now, because if you start in the summer, by the time the episodes come out, your book is going to be full of dust on the shelves, right? So it takes about 10 days, 14 days for us to even start getting bookings going. And we have a huge network of people that we work with, other companies that we work with, and I still don't see results for about 10 days. And then once they start coming in, like Molly said, they're often, if you're lucky, only a month out. And if you're lucky, they'll post it a couple of weeks after that. So figure a 6-week timeline right there.
Yeah, I mean, like Molly said, we're kind of short here, but if you really want more info on that, if we want to give another shameless plug, all that short form content we just made for Alex, he went into depth with all of this, like the timelines, like how to get on this show. Like you have to start months and months and months in advance. Like a lot of it was to deal with like a book coming out. Those were like the prime examples he used, but it was like, if you got a book coming out in November, you start getting on shows in like February, man.
And of course
we're reaching out, because you can't hit up a post or like a host and be like, hey, my book just came out, can I get on your show next week? It's like, no, the host of a good show is booked out and they have episodes scheduled out months in advance. So you're like, you can get on this show, I can get you on in maybe a month, but the episode will come out 4 months later. But 5 months after your book releases, what's the point?
Right.
Exactly.
And of course, we're talking about the great Alex Sanfilippo. We have to,
Yes.
if we're going to mention
Sanfilippo.
who it
We're going
is.
to put links in our favorite guy.
Yeah.
One of our favorite guys. Best guy in podcasting. So yeah, man. Well, this is a long episode, but I think it was packed with some value. We gave some very actionable tips, and I think a lot of people right now are like, "New year, new me. Let me go get some visibility." And we're getting a lot of calls about podcast booking. So hopefully, this information was valuable to you guys, and you'll level up your podcast guesting appearances. And we're gonna put the link to the mic bundle in the bottom. We're gonna put a link to Terry Schultz in the bottom, so you can see what a badass she is. She's also a professional journalist of like 40 years, so don't beat yourself up.
Doing NATO and everything.
Exactly. And we will make sure to link you to Alex to see his content. And also, there's some resources. There are definitely programs you can join to get booked on other podcasts. You can manage that yourself, or you can hire a company to do it and they can manage it for you. So you have options. We'll give you some resources in the links below. And until next time, man, stay safe and make sure to put on sunscreen.
Good luck on your tennis game.
Produced by Heartcast Media.